So you want to get into the tabletop war game community, but you realize it's expensive. You look at anything from Games Workshop, Privateer Press, Corvus Belly, and it is expensive. You look at Warhammer 40k and you realize just for a Space Marine army, you're paying about $3 to $5 per unit. And that's even if you buy one of the Start Collecting sets or one of the Battle Patrol sets. And it's expensive. So you think, okay, there must be an option. There must be some other option that I can go down where I don't end up selling basically this month's rent to buy an army. And then you realize, I spent $300 to $500 on a 3D printer. And why not just print some miniatures? Why not just print some figures that are tabletop ready that I just need to paint, and then I can play basically Warhammer 40k. There's a lot of options out there for that too, but this is actually affordable. In today's video, I'm not going to be showing you a figure that costs money. I'm going to be showing you basically a demo figure that Station Forge released that's basically a Space Marine. And here is this dude right here. This is from their Legion Infantry set. And it's basically a Space Marine Intercessor. And I printed this on my Elgu Saturn 8K for about 3 cents, I believe. I think it was about 3 cents just to print this dude. So right off the printer, after curing and washing, I have it like this. Usually I remove the supports before I cure. But for this example, I wanted to give it as if you bought something on a sprue and you wanted to assemble it. So the figure looks like this off the printer. And for the sake of this example, we're going to assemble it in this video. And I'm probably going to speed up the assembly process. So I just take my snippers and we're going to do this as close as if you're doing this from a regular buying the model and assembling it from a kit, where we just trim off the pieces from the sprue. To be honest, I didn't really need the snippers. I just thought it would be funny for the bit. But right here I've got all the parts that you would need for just this one unit. We've got 2 shoulder plates, a head, an arm, and the little gun. The little blaster. We also have this little base, but I got this base from one-page rules sets. So here we have it. We've got basically a Space Marine built right here. If I had a camera set up over by my printer so y'all could see the actual printing process, I would have set up so I can have some time lapse of it dipping in and out the print bed, showing off how it's being printed. But we've got basically a Space Marine. And together with just 2 of these, this cost about 6, 8, 10 cents at the most, not counting print time if you want to put a value on that. And you're thinking, okay, we've got the figures now. The real pricey part of the game comes with the rule books. But here's my solution. Instead of spending $50, $60, $70 for the Games Workshop main rule book for Warhammer 40k, you could always just go with one-page rules, Grimdark Future, and there you've got it. It's open source, free to play, free to whatever read rulebook system for a game system that you can use whatever figures you want. You've got printable figures like these, and you can use these in your gameplay, or you've got some actual Games Workshop figures like this guy from Adeptus Mechanicus, or you go with one-page rules. They're minis, and they've got rule systems for both sci-fi and fantasy. Right here I've got some figures for their Ratman set that they are designing and releasing themselves for Age of Fantasy. And here are some of the Eternal Dynasty figures I've been printing and painting for the past month, that all this together, both these armies cost me less than a bottle of resin. Like 1 bottle of resin. That's just to print and experiment with. So the downside of this, to be honest, is the initial cost to get into this would be the cost of a printer, which can range you anywhere from $200 to $600 for a basic Elgu printer. And that's if you don't run into some of the issues I've run into, where something with your printer dies, like the print screen, which would run you about $120 to replace, and the cost of resin, which per bottle is about $30 to $50 a bottle of resin, depending on what you go with. Usually I go with the Socratis resin, and I buy it in the 5-liter bottles for $150. So the upfront costs are a little bit expensive, but after you initially buy the printer, you've got the printer. You don't need to pay any more for the printer. And you buy the STLs, which range about $3 to $15 for solos to units. And usually when you go with groups like Station Forge or one-page rules, their parts are interchangeable. So you could mix and match, kit bash, and basically recreate the whole line of Games Workshop figures from just what Station Forge has released so far with their, and I'm going to butcher this name, there's Socratis units so far. And it's amazing. They've released Exterminators, Knights, Infantry, both Melee and Legion. And you can recreate almost the whole line of GW Space Marines just right there. Except for stuff like Dreadnoughts and Terminators, I think, so far. And Bikers. But even then, you've got almost a full range of figures. So overall, I'm going to be doing a couple more videos on 3D printing miniatures for tabletop war games, focusing around using the one-page rule systems for Grimdark Future and Age of Fantasy. The next video will probably be focusing on my Eternal Dynasty, how I picked out my list, and showing off the figures that I printed, the quality, and them in their full painted glory. As we saw here, they're already primed and dry brushed. All I need to do is add the base color and some detailing. And from there, I might be doing some price comparisons between comparing them. I'm not really sure which factions yet, or combination of factions with Games Workshop, Corvus Belli, or even Privateer Press minis. And hopefully at some point I can bridge off and show off more cool tabletop based printing figures. Because I still have a box of figures I've got from files from Loot Studio, which I have an issue of Loot Studio, but that's a whole nother video. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Hopefully you'll like this video. I want to show off building one of these figures in a video because why not? And yeah, thank you all for watching and see you all next time. Make sure you check out the links below.